Bendiciones! Katherine here, and
Hey everyone, it's Rosie.
so we're pretty excited for this. This is actually our first empowerment series that we're making, and the whole purpose of it is to kind of get us in a role of sharing our wisdom, sharing our insights, sharing our journey in general, because we have knowing that we all have experienced different life experiences that brought us here today, we want to go ahead and share with you what has brought us here, and especially during this intense full moon, which I'm not sure if you guys have been feeling it. So, in the meantime, I just want to say if you guys have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and type below. But we're going to start off by just, let's keep in mind what full moon is out there right now. So, right now, the full moon is in Scorpio. And I'm just a bit aware of what that is, but it is bringing up a lot of things of like old patterns, karmic things that you may notice in your life that has showed up repeatedly, either from childhood, teenage, early 20s, and seeing like, why is this always showing up in my life? So when we're looking at old patterns, we're also looking at how can we stop the old patterns? How can we shift out of those old ways of thinking, of believing, and how we live our life? So let's see. Now, when we're looking at those situations, and if you guys can't hear me, please also type it in too. When we're looking at those situations, we're looking at, first off, all right, what are your practices today? What are your practices that you do that assist you to apply your tools of either meditation, either yoga, perhaps even just walking out through the woods or going out, hiking, or just sitting for a moment for a few minutes to just kind of like tap in, or just like, all right, what is this thought that's coming in and affecting my space right now? So these are many different tools. And I know perhaps, Rosie, you have a few tools too that you can also share with us of what is it that can help us to like shift out of old patterns too.
Yes, and thank you for joining us today. And I feel very happy and excited to be able to share this wisdom with you all and see what is coming up for you. As far as tools, when I find myself getting back into old patterns, which happened recently, I sometimes have to flow into that and see, what that means for me. And what it meant for me this past week was, seeing that reflectiveness of the things that was trying to come and interfere with, me stepping into my power as a healer in this community, as doing good in the world, and realizing that that's a story that has nothing to do with who I am. And I stopped, I evaluated, I asked myself, is this my truth right now, or is this something that is just a distraction or a potential block of me really stepping into the next level of what I really need to be doing in this world? So I sat in meditation, I looked at it, I thanked, God for this introspection and my guides, and I was able to shift into a whole other space and really getting in touch with what is my mission, like what is the thing that is holding me back from, and it was my own insecurity, and realizing that was something that wasn't serving me. So I used that time, I journaled, I lit a candle for myself, I prayed, I sang. Sometimes just as something so simple as cleaning my house and physically clearing away things in my physical space. And then as I'm doing these things, I was realizing, wow, this is really not so bad and I can get through this. Also, calling upon my sisters and my brothers in this community for help, and getting some perspective from them was very helpful to me. So let us know what you think about that. Also, as we're going into this space, what is your passion? what does that equal your mission? And if it doesn't, what kinds of things do you need to do? And taking advantage of the energy of this full moon to touch down with your passion, because everything's kicking up right now. So as everything's kicking up, we're going to look at these things and these patterns and say, is this my truth, or is this an old story? And if it's your truth, is it a passion? And if it's a passion, does it equal your mission? So think about that and see if you can journal around that, or if you can collaborate with a fellow brother or sister, or just yourself or God, and see how you can transform that into your mission and see how that resonates with you. Back to you.
Well, it's kind of funny you mentioned that, because one of the major things is that when I'm experiencing these full moon, intense full moons, it's like sometimes the illusions get in the way, and the illusion of old stories get in the way, and it's kind of hard to see our passion for that moment. So I think, like what you were mentioning, like, all right, clearing out the house, clearing out old energy, old debris, and just kind of like dusting things out of the way. So I think that's actually a really good practice. One of the things that I have done also is, as soon as I realize that it is something old, I also like go ahead and just do a nice salt scrub. And what's amazing about salt, because salt has been used and is an old practice where people usually actually spread some salt right beside their bed if they're moving into a new home. They actually spread it on the outside of their house, and just to clear out any energy. So if you think about sea salt, this is salt from the ocean. So it's when you are salt scrubbing, you are also like shedding out old stuff that doesn't no longer serve you. So that's like one of the things. Oh my, so good. And it gets your rivers flowing, gets your blood flowing, it gets you nice and fiery, in a good fire, your inner fire, as compared to some hot sauce fire in some food. So when we are looking at that, because yes, illusions, old stories, old patterns can really get in the way from us being capable of unlocking our personal power. Because our personal power is our passion, is our desires, is our our hobbies sometime too. We're like, oh, it's a hobby that I like. If you like working with your hands, think about how much energy your hands is also vibrating out. So what is it that your hands can also do? Like, how about, like, when you're rubbing your hands, you're building up that energy. You place it over your heart, you place it over your belly, your core, your solar plex. So we want to go ahead and just see, like, what is the pieces of me that I haven't been fully utilizing. Like last night I had a moment where I'm like, I haven't drawn for a while, and last night I was in such a space that I needed to draw, because I noticed myself checking out, because this moon has been pretty intense. And as I started to draw, I started realizing, I'm like, whoa, these are showing me a bit of some old stuff. And that right there shifted my awareness, which brought me out, like, it's a full moon. What is this full moon bringing up for us? And then also, how can I fully utilize the energies behind this full moon? And as I mentioned, it is bringing up karmic stories. It's bringing up old stuff that we're meant to learn in this lifetime. And yeah, we can go through life experiences that can affect us, that can it can be something that holds us back from being in our truth. But then again, can we see it as a lesson, right? And going beyond the lesson. So jumping back into the tools, our passions, and our daily practices, definitely breathing for a few minutes, consciously aware, just sitting with your breath, early morning, even in the middle of the day, and even when you close your evening, because you're like bringing yourself back. Because when we sleep for 8 hours, hopefully it's about 8 hours or so, but when we're sleeping, we actually journey. Our being journeys out, and that's where we tap into the dream world. So when we're coming back and we wake up in that morning or in the evening if you work a third shift, but every time, when we wake up, we want to take that deep breath and bring all of us here into our moment, into our heart, into our bodies. So that's just a little bit of a few things to kind of chime in when you're beginning your day or even closing your evening. So anything else you want to add into that? I know we can talk about a few things, but just keep in mind it's going to be a beautiful, long empowerment series. But we want to start off with steps.
So we want to start off with putting a few pearls out there. Just some things to think about as we're, putting out these behaviors, this mirror that this moon is providing for us, is, the old stuff. Why did it come up? Yeah, it was influenced by this beautiful moon and the energy. But we also have to think about that the moon is a cycle, like women have a cycle. Men have a cycle too. It may not be as obvious, but, when we're going in through these cycles, everything has a cycle. Everything has a cycle in life, from birth to death to rebirth to death. As the moon, the full, and as the new moon comes, and everything in between. And how does that impact what you want to make room for? So, as I was explaining to a coworker of mine, that during the full moon, kind of like the uterus is full of blood to purge, and this is our time to purge whatever it is in our spirit womb that no longer serves us, the things that have come up over this period of time, that now all this culmination of energy and, cosmic thrust to help us get to that, point where we can choose, because it's all a choice. We can choose to hold on to that, and then maybe next cycle, or maybe never, do we reach that point of where we step into our essence and take these opportunities to really, say farewell to those behaviors that are holding us back. Behaviors like self-sabotage, negativity talk, or falling into a behavior that I was talking with a friend of mine. She feels like she has to be the rescuer. And is that really serving her? Who is she rescuing? Is she trying to rescue somebody else? Or is she really trying to rescue herself from something, So taking that opportunity during this time to purge what it is that does not serve you, and whatever way feels most authentic to you. So, you don't have to always believe in exactly the same thing the next person believes in. Whatever that belief is for you, and however that best serves you, so that you can be in service to the world and service to your community and your family and to yourself. So also, so what qualities emerge when I do what I love, and what is most present at that time? So that's a couple of the questions, a couple of things, food for thought, to perhaps write them down and think about them over this next moon cycle. And as we're setting intentions for the new moon coming up in a couple of weeks, and then again a full moon next month. So I hope that helps you, and if you have any questions or comments on how we came up with these things, or insights or awarenesses that you would like to share with us and our viewers, we certainly welcome that, and thank you for tuning in.
In the meantime, we have about 15 minutes.
Oh, okay, good. We have more to say.
So, actually, I thought about kind of us sharing our story, kind of what brought us here, because the truth is, my journey started a bit early. Actually, our journey started as soon as we were even conceived in our mother's womb. So, but my background, my practice is holistic psychology, transpersonal hypnotherapy, Ayurveda, and nutrition. But then also, recently, I've been coming into that place of even owning up to my roots. Tapping into my Cuban roots, to my Peruvian roots, actually going back into honing into why did my soul chose to be Peruvian and Cuban. So the reason why I want to kind of share this piece of us, because at the end, we're always growing, and we're always gaining new tools of what spirit, what our soul is being drawn to, and where we're heading to next. So, like, for example, right now I've been guided and for spirit and for my soul to even go towards this direction, I'm starting to work with the upper channels, which is like all third eye, also ear. So you're also listening to, or actually seeing what your inner ear is being able to hear too. So it's kind of beautiful to kind of see the tools that has been coming in my direction, and to be starting to utilize that, and how actually that's been showing up a lot for a while, but now things and people in my life have been like reminding me, hey, don't forget this tool that you've been practicing. And like, I had a friend of mine that was having some serious allergies, and I was like, hey, let's do a neti pot. And so neti pot right away just shifted his view on how this allergy was kicking his butt. And remind you, like, sinuses is all over here. We're all focusing on this area. So you're having that headache view. And then you're also looking at, all right, how is your third eye affected? You know, how much phlegm, how much old story, which phlegm is stagnation of mucus. How much old stuff is there blocking your third eye from seeing? So, you know, kind of seeing all these tools come in. My journey in general, and meeting such beautiful souls today, and even collaborating with my beautiful sister Rosie in this in this series, and just kind of collaborating together in general what we offer as a whole, because you know, to see us where we're at now, it's something. My journey has started individually when I left home at 14. And then from shifting, where my life had a huge shift because I had to adjust my health. And that was about, let's see, I'm 32, about like almost 12, actually about like 12 years ago, when my health was affected at such a young age. So it kind of was a wake-up call of how food is medicine for us. And so when we're looking at that, we're looking at also, you know, all right, why is this topic important? Because if we're trying to unlock our personal power, what is the medicine we're putting into our body? What are the things that we're putting into our body, into our mind, into our space, into our emotional body? You know, what is it that we're putting in, and is it serving us? So at the age of 20 was when I experienced a crazy digestive situation that really just, you know, doctors were saying you need to take a laxative basically every day of your life. And it was messed up. At first I thought it was an ulcer. It wasn't an ulcer. And, you know, to learn that way, and I'm grateful that it didn't become as an intense situation, but it did bring me into what is it that I'm putting into my body. And as soon as I shifted that and started applying more of an organic, nutritional diet, that's when my space, my energy, my mind started clearing off. I realized how depressed I was at that time, and how I was working at a law firm, which was amazing, great money. But then I realized I wasn't doing what is my calling and my truth, and what was my calling and truth at that time. So first off, like, you want to see, like, what is it that you are implementing into your life? What is it that you are bringing into your body? And how is your body relating to you these messages of what your truth is? Because when we come across these situations, whenever our body is a microphone to our soul. So if we start looking at our symptoms that are coming up, it's a time to take a moment and be like, all right, why am I having this shoulder pain? Why am I having this intense headache? Why am I having this foot pain or this leg pain? I just fell and injured my knee. Why are these things happening on a physical plane? Well, perhaps it turns out because Spirit has been trying to communicate through, you know, to you through your dreams, through how things needed to be related, through messages, through family or whoever that's in your space, and we couldn't hear it. So when it comes down to that, we are looking at what is it that is part of our life right now, and how clean is it? You know, I know we also speak about in Ayurveda, you know, Ayurveda is not really a vegan diet. It's not a vegetarian diet, you know, and for us to be blessed to have such beautiful amazing animal beings that walk this earth, we also honor it, but we don't overdo it where we're eating meat and chicken every single day unless it's our medicine that's needed for that moment. So we are diving into something really specifically, but I just want you to know, let's start by like seeing what are the medicines, what are the foods that you put into your diet so that you can have more of a cleaner vessel, so that you can start tapping into unlocking that beautiful medicine power that you have in you. And it does begin with, all right, what are my passions? Okay, what are the things that I desire to do? Do I love helping people? Am I a nurse that I help people? Am I a school teacher that I love to educate the next generation that comes in? Am I a full-time mother that I am raising my children so that they are going to walk this earth even more abundantly loving and joyful and caring? So that's where we look at like, all right, who am I in this moment? Am I defining myself by my identity, or am I defining myself by the things of I love and my truth? So wasn't sure if there was something you want to also add in as far as your journey, because I know her journey is beautiful.
We might have to talk about my journey the next time we tune in, but I really want to support what my sister Kat was saying in respect to the foods as medicine. And what does this have to do with empowerment? A lot, because what we're being taught now through our studies in Ayurveda, which we've known all along, and it's not just how we were raised or our culture, but really if you look back on years and years and decades and centuries and generation after generation, food is medicine. Food is our medicine, and it's that catabolic reaction that happens at a cellular level, and how these things break down into our body. And are they the right things? Are those things the right things that are happening at a cellular level that is supporting us to propel, to move forward, to be in the most optimum state of wellness and health, not only physically, but mentally and spiritually? And how are those things empowering us? Because we all know if we feel good, we're going to get out there and do the work, okay? And if we feel real good, we're going to do some really good work out there. And we're going to have the energy to do so. We're going to have the clear mind. We're going to be able to put our thoughts together properly. We're going to be able to make good decisions. And yeah, having a balanced diet and having the right food combinations is going to enable us, is going to empower us to be better, to be in our fullest centered being, and to speak from a balanced place, as my beloved teacher Dee says, I love to say, is that place between your mind and your heart, and speaking from there. And that is your truth, and that is the truth. That is spirit speaking through you, through that balanced place. And that is how we can be in service to the world, and that is how we can be in service to, it doesn't matter, you don't have to have a big job, you don't have to run a company, you don't have to be this like amazing healer with like a bazillion followers. You can have the simplest job as taking the trash out, or you can be a housekeeper. I was raised by two beautiful women that were housekeepers. They taught me the value of doing a good job and how to put your elbow in it, as my grandmother would say, and leave at the end of the day feeling good about what you're doing. And that has a lot to do with feeling empowered no matter what you're doing in the world. And because the simplest action can have the most effect, and it's all in how we put our foot forward, and the authenticity and the integrousness of who we are. I was talking with my coworker last night about just because we may not be as happy to be in the job that we're in, or we may not want to be at that shift that particular day, But, we're here to take care of human life. We're here to take care of people. And we need to show up and do the best that we can with what we have. And how we can take it to the next level is putting the right kind of medicine in our body, putting the right kind of situations in our body, looking at these things during this empowerment full moon and seeing as behaviors that are coming up that are tests, and seeing how we can transform that into something positive, into light, into love, into acceptance, into not criticizing ourselves and self-judgment and being our own worst critic, which a lot of us have that propensity to do, and how we can transform those negative thought process, those patterns, into something that's positive. Because if we get caught in the cycle of just criticizing ourselves and like, man, I can't believe I did that. Why did I do that? Why did I do this thing? And why did I react this way? We get caught in this cycle, and then we never get out of it, and it just keeps going and going, and then the next day comes, and the next day comes, and we never make any progress, and then we're stuck there, and we're stuck there either for months, weeks, years, centuries, lifetimes, and that doesn't serve anybody. And so this is one of our, as we do the series, this is one of our goals, to kind of provide tools, and hopefully you've received some of these tools today, and, simple things like cleaning your house when you're feeling like you're stuck in that pattern, or just stopping the actual physicality of that moment and just praying and saging, or sitting with some medicine, or cooking a healthy meal. I mean, sometimes cooking a healthy meal and putting together the right combination of food makes you feel empowered, like, wow, look at this, and it's so bright, it's so colorful, and look at all these things that are happening in this plate of food, and I'm excited to eat this, and I'm excited to, see how I feel after my meal. And that right there is another way you can empower yourself too. And we can talk about food another time.
Sure
There's a lot of things, and we can share recipes and insights and whatever you guys want. So that's what I have to say about it.
So let's just kind of go down through the bullet point of tools really quick, so that we can kind of close it off, this beautiful series that we have today. So you mentioned house cleaning, doing a nice house clean. If you're feeling a bit stagnant or stuck, I'm going to say a good, nice salt scrub. And perhaps if you have any essential oils, add in like a good rosemary essential oil in there. Make sure you mix it in. If you don't have any sesame oil, to add it in there with a few drops of rosemary, stir it up. Or you can add in olive oil. You'll perhaps taste a little bit tasty. But just stir it in there, and literally, you go in your bathtub, you wet your body, and just salt scrub yourself. And be like, I am letting this stuff go that does not serve me.
Another oil that's just come into my mind, thank you very much, sister, is cypress. Cypress is a beautiful medicine. It's got a brighter tone. It's a great lymphatic mover. It's also a mild pain reliever. So if you have some sore muscles and you want to get in that hot tub, or you want to, get in the bath, or you just want to salt scrub it as Katherine was describing, that would be really great. Ginger grass is another good one too. Those are all really good motivators to get the lymph moving, feeling bright, and just energized. I know I always feel good when I put cypress on my body. Yeah.
And even smelling it. Let's say you don't have time to do a salt scrub. Just smell it. Think of any bright colors. So if you think of bright colors, what are the fruits that you may have in your medicine cabinet? Do you have any lemon? Or if you don't have any essential oils, grab a lemon and just smell the lemon, and just, either peel it out or make some nice zest and just smell, because that is where you're tapping into your senses. And then you also mentioned, what are the other things that we can bring in as far as to the tools? You mentioned saging.
Prayer.
Definitely prayer. So important.
Yeah.
That's like you're setting your intentions, but then you're also, that's your space of vulnerability. That's your space of like, I need assistance, spirit. I need assistance. I need guidance, Pachamama. Like, you are calling out for assistance, because we are not doing this alone. we are not doing this alone. You know, we're in this together. Everyone is in this together. So definitely prayer is so important, and
Journaling.
huge. Journaling.
Even if that means, you know, you write down, if you're not a writer, who cares? It doesn't matter. You can just write down, this sucks, okay? Or I had a shitty day. Sorry. I'm just keeping it real here. Or, you know, you can color. If like your way of expressing is through color, then draw something. It doesn't matter. You're the one who's going to see it, unless you want to share it with the world. But anyway, that's just you're putting it, you're expressing. And in that action, in writing or in drawing, you start to get those neural pathways open to process what you're experiencing at that time.
So hope you guys stay tuned and check out the next date that we'll be having the series. We should have it up perhaps the next few days or so. And it might be looking at towards perhaps like maybe full moon, new moon time.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for joining us. Many blessings, and take a nice deep breath and just let it all go for this full moon.
Bendiciones.
Bendiciones.